Yo, what's going on guys? J-Claw Animated Talk here, and today we will be discussing and explaining Yami's Dark Magic. We will be going over every one of his spells, how they work, and his strengths and weaknesses. But of course, if you are not up to date with the Black Clover manga, this video will contain some spoilers. But if you don't care, let's get right into it. Now, I did make a video and explain Nozelle's Mercury Magic, so if you want to know about Nozelle's Mercury Magic, you can check that video out. After this one, I will be going through each of the captains and pretty much everybody in Black Clover's magic type. So let's talk about Yami's Dark Magic. Now, when it comes to Dark Magic itself, it is extremely powerful, but the glaring weakness to this magic type is that it is extremely slow, but Yami, the way he uses it, it makes up for it. And this was demonstrated to us in the story of Black Clover in his first battle against Patri, who has Light Magic, which is the fastest magic type, and that's the polar opposite of Dark Magic. Despite Yami having the slower magic type of his Dark Magic, he was able to keep up with Patri due to the fact of him having Ki, which we will explain Yami's Ki in a little bit, and also in chapter 47, Patri realized that Yami is boosting his physical abilities with reinforcement magic, and he's able to cut Patri's light magic with a sword that's cloaked in dark magic, but that is not the full story. Patri realizes that there's also a catch to why Yami can move so quick and react to light magic. Yami explains to Asa in chapter 48 where he comes from, which is the land of the sun. There is something called Ki, which allows him to react and predict his opponent's next move just by the way they look, the sound of their breathing, their smell, the motions of their muscles, and the vague sense they are in. Yami explains that Ki is a blanket term from the different types of life energy that humans releases, and by predicting their next move by using Ki, he's able to counter it by combining his magic and muscles. So Yami with Ki can sense the life energy from you to compensate with his extremely slow dark magic. On top of the fact, in the guidebooks we've seen that his magic sensing is a 4 out of 5, so fighting this guy will be a very difficult task to get a victory. Your magic has to be extremely more powerful than him, and also your sensing. So like Patri stated, dark magic may be extremely slow, however, it is amazing the way that Yami utilizes it. Now, another amazing thing about dark magic is that in chapter 49, Patri mentioned that when he's fighting Yami, his magic is constantly being drawn in. So this is the power of dark magic. So fighting Yami, not only that you have to worry about his Ki or his magic sensing, but also his dark magic is able to draw in yours. So dark magic is slow, but it is a task to deal with. Now let's talk about Yami's Dark Magic spells. Chapter 47, we've seen Yami use a spell called Dark Magic, Dark Cloak, Lightless Slash, which was used against Patri, which allows Yami to release darkness from his weapon that is even sharper than his sword. With this spell, we've seen that it was strong enough to bypass Patri's light magic to give him a slash. This is one of Yami's mid-range attack, which is a perfect counter to use against barrage magic attacks. Another spell that he uses in chapter 49 is his Dark Magic Black Hole spell, which allows him to absorb, and if you are still connected to that spell, it temporarily paralyzes you. We've seen Patri still had contact with his magic attack, however, he couldn't move because while he was holding his magic attack, it was being absorbed by Yami's Black Hole. Now, Yami's Black Hole spell is very strong, but there is a weakness to it. In chapter 50, Patri explains that Yami's range of his Black Hole spell is only 5 meters, so it's limited, and the spell cannot absorb everything. In chapter 169, when Yami was fighting Charlotte, who was elf-possessed, she had a massive Briar Magic spell and was ready to send at Yami, and Yami stated himself that his Black Hole spell would not be able to absorb all of that. So it's a very powerful defense spell, but it has its limits. But Yami did find a way to upgrade this spell, which we've seen in chapter 245. When Dante used his gravity magic against Yami, Yami was able to use Mana Zone to his Black Hole spell, which created an additional spell, which was Dark Magic Black Moon, which allows Yami Dark Magic to not only just absorb Dante's gravity magic, but also erase it from his territory, which also allows his allies like Finral, his magic being inside this Black Hole Black Moon spell, his magic wasn't erased, so Yami with this magic spell can pick and choose what to erase and absorb. So before the time skip, yes, his Black Hole naturally is 5 meters in range wise, but by using Mana Zone, it also creates a new spell, which is Black Moon, which no longer limits his range from 5 meters. In chapter 49, we've seen Yami use another spell called Dark Magic, Dark Cloak, Black Blade. It is one of Yami's strongest offensive mid-range attacks, which he was able to use as a follow-up attack after using his Dark Magic Black Hole spell that he uses against Patri. Another spell we see him use in chapter 50 is a defense spell that is shaped like a spear. It's Dark Magic Black Cocoon, which he uses to defend himself, or it can be also used as transport. Now, Yami's most famous spell of all, which was shown in chapter 72, is Dark Magic Dark Cloak Dimension Slash. This attack spell from Yami is so strong that he's literally able to cut through anything, even spatial magic. Now, the often misconception is that some people think that Yami was able to unlock this spell right here exactly at that moment, but he actually technically unlocked it right before he fought Veto. During the Sea Temple arc, right before he got out to fight Veto, he was trapped by one of the spatial magic users in the item Midnight Sun by a spell called Different Dimension Spear. Yami stated that getting pushed and trapped against a wall was worth it, and that he figured out a new spell to get out of this. And right before Yami uses Dark Cloak Dimension Slash against Veto, we see that Yami was able to break out, and we see this giant slash, and the spatial magic user is completely gone. He's KO'd. So right here, Tabata was hinting at the fact that Yami was able to break out of this different dimension spell, which I do find funny. That's probably why Yami calls this attack spell Dimension Slash, because he was able to get out of a dimension his first time using the spell. So there is a reference to the name of his spell, which is pretty clever. Now, there is a upgraded version of this spell as well, and it's when Yami uses Mana Zone. This is where Yami extends the range of his Dark Dimension Slash by taking control of the mana within the surrounding area. This is Yami's strongest long-range attack. It is Mana Zone, Dark Cloak, Dimension Slash, Equinox, which was so strong that it was able to cut a devil. Even without using Dark Dimension Slash, Yami's magic, the base of it, is still able to affect the devil, which we will talk about in a little bit. Now, another spell that Yami uses, which is pretty much an upgraded spell of his Lightless Slash, which is Dark Magic Lightless Blade Storm, which allows him to send out multiple Lightless Blade Slashes at once. And in that same chapter, chapter 168, he used another spell called Dark Magic Lightless Blunt Strike, where he hits someone in the back of the neck with the back of his sword without them taking crazy damage. It's more like a knockout blow. Another one of Yami's spells we've seen in chapter 203 is his Dark Magic Dark Cloak Black Blade Blunt Slash, which allows him to greatly extend the blade of his sword and allows him to push back any allies with the blunt of the sword. Another spell is his Dark Magic Binding spell, which allows him to restrict the movements and magic of someone else, which pretty much almost every magic mage user have some sort of spell like this within their grimoire, depending on the magic type. Another spell we see from Yami in chapter 245 is where he condensed his Mana Zone spell of his Black Moon and used a spell called Dark Cloak EI Slash, which is definitely one of my favorite Yami spells, but my favorite spell of all from Yami is his new spell called Dark Magic Death Thrust, where he super condensed his mana even further of his Black Moon spell by thrusting his sword at his opponent by creating a blast. This is by far Yami's strongest mid-range attack. Now, the properties of his magic, he is classified as an Arcane Stage Mage, which puts him in a category with the ability to defeat a devil, which is also able to affect otherworld magic, which I will save for a certain video once we talk about Yami and explain him as a character, excluding his magic type. Now, according to the guidebook, Yami is listed as the most physical, strongest character in Black Clover. Either it's a year or two from now, things may be very different, but his stats are a 5 out of 5 in physical strength, a 5 out of 5 in magic amount, a 4 in magic control, a 4 in magic sensing, a 4 in cleverness, and limit surpassing is a 5 out of 5, which that is something that will never change. No matter what the guidebooks update, limit surpassing is never going to change. But yeah, that pretty much wraps everything up. That is Yami's Dark Magic Explained video. You guys comment below and tell me what's your favorite Dark Magic spell from Yami. And as you can see, he has a lot. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like on it. If you are new to the channel, subscribe and notification bells on. You guys have an awesome life. Take care of yourselves, and I'm out.